Hello, class. Good morning. This is Science 10, and I am Ma'am Ana Fernandez. In our previous lesson, we have learned about how to find the earthquake's epicenter using the triangulation method and distance time graph. The characteristics and locations of active volcanoes, mountain ranges, and earthquake zones as the epicenter we also discussed using the map. This time, in this lesson, we're going to identify and describe the different types of plate boundaries that will help you to understand the occurrence of an earthquake and other geologic activities. Let's have these plate boundaries. These plate boundaries are the edges where two plates meet. It is where most geologic activities including volcanoes, earthquakes, and mountain building takes place at this boundary. So meaning to say, in these plate boundaries, dito po nabubuo o nagkakaroon ng volcano, ng earthquake, o yung pagkakaroon natin ng mountain. We have these types of plate boundaries. So before we discuss this, look at the illustration. What have you noticed? So maybe you will say that there's an arrow, a box, and thank you for that. When we say plate boundaries, first we have this convergent plate boundary, wherein it is an area on Earth where two or more lithospheric plates collide. So when we say lithosphere, it is the hard part of the earth, wherein it is the outer part of the earth, or ito yung inaapakan natin. Ano po? So, when a convergent boundary occurs between two oceanic plates, one of those plates will subduct beneath the other. When these continental and oceanic plates collide, again, continental and oceanic plates collide. The thinner and denser oceanic plate is overridden by the thicker and less dense continental plate. So when we say dense, magaan, mas magaan, this oceanic plate is forced down into the mantle in a process known called as subduction. So when we say subduction, it is the force down into the mantle or the oceanic plate forced down or bumaba papunta sa mantle. And it is the process. So yan. So we have there the coast. We have there the oceanic plate. Ayan po kung mapapansin ninyo. Bumababa po siya pag nagkaroon po ng banggaan. Ano po? So as you noticed, we have there the brown one, the continental plate, and this is the oceanic plate. So once na nagbanggaan sila, si oceanic plate ang bumababa, then yun po yung pumupunta dun sa mantle part. So that process is what we call subduction. Next, we have another type of plate boundary. So kanina nakita nyo sa illustration is yung dalawang arrow ay nagsalubong. Dito naman ay naghiwalay naman. Ano po? So we have the divergent plate boundary. When we say divergent plate boundary, it is where two plates are moving away from each other and new crust is forming from magma that rises to the Earth's surface. When a divergent boundary occurs beneath oceanic lithosphere, the rising convection current below lifts the lithosphere producing mid-ocean ridge. Again, so sa divergent plate, um, mid-ocean ridge po yung naproproduce. So, kung kanina is that sa convergent, pag nagbanggaan, may tendency na magkaroon po ng volcanoes, ng mountains, yung dalawang plate. This time, mid-ocean ridge naman po. Wherein, in this mid-ocean ridge, it is the extensional forces stretches the lithosphere and produce a deep fissure. When fissure opens, pressure is reduced on the superheated mantle material below. It responds by melting, and the new magma flows into the fissure. The magma then solidifies and the process repeats itself. So look at that. So we have the extensional forces stretch the lithosphere and produce deep fissure. Then when the fissure, the center one, the fissure is open, the pressure is reduced on the superheated mantle. Yung nasa baba po, superheated mantle. Pag superheat na siya, kailangan bumukan na para po may mailabas po siya na magma. Then this magma solidifies. Then the process repeats itself. Next, we have this, the third one, the transform plate boundary. So what have you noticed on the illustration? Kung kanina si convergent, nagsalubong yung dalawang arrow. Si divergent is naghiwalay or nag-move away from each other. This transform plate boundary, as you noticed on the illustration, they slide with each other. So we have here, transform plate boundary occurs when two plates slide past each other horizontally. Transform plate boundaries are locations where two plates slide past one another. We have the fracture zone, wherein it forms from a transform plate boundary, and it is known as the transform fault. So, meron tayong kilala na pinakasikat na fault, which is lagi siyang nasa movie, American movie or international movie. It is the San Andreas Fault, wherein this San Andreas Fault is responsible for the California's earthquake. So that is the transform fault boundary. So as you noticed, parang merong nag-i-spark dyan. And that is what we call the earthquake. So we have the lithosphere, wherein yan yung inaapakan natin. And we have this asthenosphere, wherein nandyan si magma. Okay, this transform faults can be distinguished from a typical strike-slip faults because the sense of movement is in the opposite direction. So as you noticed in the illustration, a strike-slip fault is a simple offset. However, a transform fault is formed between two different plates moving away from the spreading center of a divergent plate boundary. When you look at the transform fault, imagine that the double line as a divergent plate boundary and visualize which way the diverging plates would be moving. So look at that. That is the movement of the transform fault or transform plate boundary. Next, we have process of plate movements, but before that, kindly complete the table by copying it in your notebook for the learning task number 1. And it is your learning task. So we have here the type of boundaries, the convergent, the divergent, and the transform. So under of convergent, we have the continental, we have the oceanic, and we have the oceanic continental. You're going to draw how it looks like, and you're going to describe each type of plate boundaries in 3 words. Understand po? Next, we have these causes of plate movement. So, bakit daw nagkakaroon ng paggalaw? So, we have the different theories explaining the possible causes of these tectonic plates. So, we have first the mantle convection currents, wherein it is a warm mantle currents drive and carry plates of lithosphere along like a conveyor belt. So, pag sinabi natin yung conveyor belt, ayan yung malaking makina na umiikot sa water. Ano po? Yon. Next. Second is ridge push buoyant upwelling mantle at mid-ocean ridges. It is a newly formed plates at oceanic ridges that are warm and have higher elevation at the oceanic ridge than the colder. More dense, so mas makapal na plate material, mas lumalayo. Then, at the same time, yung gravity din po causes the higher plate at the ridge to push away the lithosphere that lies further from the ridge. And we have this slab pool. This slab pool is older, then colder plates sink at subduction zone. Because as they cool, they become more dense than the underlying mantle. The cooler sinking plate pulls the rest of the warmer plate along behind it. So this is the illustration of this movement. So we have here, yung napapansin ninyo na arrow, yung umiikot na yan, it looks like a conveyor on the lithosphere. Then we have here the trench, and we have here the slab pool, wherein the slab pool, it goes down at 700 kilometers. Then, conveyor again in the mantle. Then, it will form a ridge again. Then, another. It goes down. It repeats. Next, we also have this theory wherein we have the person involved. We have Alfred Wegener, or it pronounced as Alfred, according to the book, it pronounced as Wegener. Alfred Wegener. He is a German meteorologist. And he's the one who proposed this theory, this continental drift theory, wherein about 200 million years ago, we have these continents as one large mass. And this one large mass is what we call Pangea. When we were in elementary, naririnig natin Pangaea. So it is pronounced as Pangea, spelled as Pangaea. So Pangea is a Greek word which means all earth. This Pangea is started to break into two smaller supercontinents. And this is what we called Laurasia and Gondwana or Gondwana land, wherein this Laurasia is the northern continent and this Gondwana or Gondwana land is the southern continent. So ano-ano po ba yung mga continent? So si Pangaea as a whole or all earth nahati sa dalawa, the northern continent and the southern continent or north and south. And we have this northern continent in or the Laurasia, we have the America, the Europe, and the Asia. And on the southern continent or Gondwana land, we have the South America, Africa, India, Madagascar, Australia, and Antarctica. So that is or that are the continent under that two supercontinent. Yon. So as a whole, tawag po siya na Pangea, nahati sa dalawa, the Laurasia and the Gondwana. Next. For the learning task 2, answer this in your notebook. What is the importance of plate movements? Another, if you will be asked to write your own theory that will explain the possible causes in the movement of plate tectonics, what would it be? So kindly answer that in your notebook. Next, we have the evidences that support the plate movement. So, as we discussed a while ago, Alfred Wegener proposed that the continents were not stationary, but actually moving or drifting away from one another. So, his primary sources of evidence included this number one, the tilt of the continents. So, ito daw po yung mga support or ebidensya niya in his theory or the continental drift theory. So, we have the tilt of the continents, locations of fossil fuels, the glacial till deposits, the shift of climates over time. And we also have this plate tectonics theory, wherein they are both related with each other, wherein there is a variety of evidence that support and claims that plate tectonics accounts for, first, the distribution of fossils on different continents. Second, the occurrence of earthquake. And third, continental and oceanic floor features including mountains, volcanoes, faults, and trenches. The continents fit together almost like puzzle pieces forming Pangea or one supercontinent. So according to this theory, ang Earth daw po is parang puzzle na connected with each other. So, si Pangea po, nahati lang po sa dalawa. Then, dahil nga daw po according kay Wegener, gumagalaw po ang ating plates, kaya nahahati siya. Kaya po meron tayong boundaries. Meron pong paggalaw talaga. Then, according sa mga scientists, sa mga researchers, everyday po is gumagalaw po talaga ang ating plates, hindi lang po natin alam. And for the last learning task, you're going to make a mind map showing the different evidences of plate movements. You may include pictures or phrases to describe and show your understanding of the theory. Write your answer in your notebook. So it is the example of mind map. So plate boundaries, convergent, divergent, transform. But in your case, it is only the example. In your case, you're going to make a mind map with the different evidence of plate movements. And that's all. Thank you for listening.